Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back. Time's fly when you're having fun, especially talking about one-hit wonders from the 80s.
Yes, Wang Chung,
Wang Chung, that is correct.
I don't remember the 80s.
You don't remember the 80s?
No, I just can't.
Oh, man. I am an 80s addict. I love, from the hair bands to the rap to, the pop culture. I mean, it was one of the perfect genres of music. I absolutely loved it. Yes, leg warmers.
Rings,
neon colors.
Well, with us today is Lee Patterson with the Farmers Insurance agent. Welcome, Lee.
Appreciate you guys having me.
No problem.
One of our favorite things to talk about, of course, is insurance.
Oh, yeah.
We love it.
Insurance.
Never a dull moment.
No one ever wants to spend money on insurance, but it is a necessity, especially when you're talking about real estate. And I actually, I teach MCE class. I teach the contracts class. I actually focus a lot on those notices. We have someone carrying on over here.
We have somebody. we have a selfie going on.
Nicole, behave yourself.
Yes, she is. We're containing her.
Okay. But I actually have a conversation with these students about having that pre-conversation with your client before you get out and start looking. Mm-hmm. You need to talk to your insurance agent because there was a day that you could call up the day before close and say, hey, get me a binder over there.
Right.
And you'd have a binder over there that afternoon.
Right.
And you'd close. But nowadays, you can't do that anymor. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about when people should be talking about it and what they should be talking about.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. I think when a realtor's out with their client and they're looking at maybe 3 or 4 properties, go ahead and look at that property and see what the insurance costs are.
Right.
How much is the homeowner's insurance policy? Is flood insurance required for that property? Is the lender going to require that? So that could be a deal breaker. So, try to save the client some time and look at that. Maybe it's only $300 to $400 for flood. Maybe it's $3,000. So, look at that on the front end.
Yeah, you need to know that before. I think an educated consumer makes a great consumer. Mm-hmm. And the more that I can tell them up front and that expectations. And Lee, you and I were talking this morning about, somebody, I've always wanted to live in Galveston and I think it'll be fun. You wake up every day, you have that sea breeze. But there's some issues in Galveston you have to know about.
Well, the main thing is when Lee goes up there and says, you know what the word windstorm means?
Never heard of that.
Yeah, windstorm can be complicated, especially when you have homeowners that might not include the wind. You might have to go through Texas windstorm.
Right.
And then you throw flood in there. I mean, you could look at $4,000 to $5,000 for insurance. It might be a deal breaker.
Right.
I think in a lot of cases it would be a deal breaker. You really have got to want to be motivated to live on the coastal. And I'm not throwing Galveston because I love to go to Galveston.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But I'd have to really stop and think long and hard about: do I want to invest money down there and then have to worry about how much insurance is costing today and what it might cost in the future?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, one of the things Lee's talking about, and he's right, is a lot of times when we're going through, from a finance perspective, we have to go through and put together something called a GFE, which is a good faith estimate. Mm-hmm. That good faith estimate details out what your monthly payment's going to be in reference to principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, right? And so it used to be, in the old days, let's say, I want to say 5 years ago, you could put a factor in there and you could know that you were covered. But nowadays, with all the changes that have happened, with some of the natural disasters that have taken over, with some of the insurance carriers who have changed, moved out, stopped writing, gone up, et cetera, and Lee can probably talk to this, it's not that easy anymore. I mean, a property that I used to know, this one will be $1,200, all of a sudden I'm getting the lowest quotes back at $3,000, right? It's like, Harris County, you can't find cheap insurance anymore. And Lee, what's going on? Why has insurance changed so much over the past 5 years?
So in our market, we've got Harris County, Fort Bend, you've got your coastal counties. The reinsurance costs have increased dramatically to where carriers that want to participate and insure properties in this area, I mean, they have to charge a premium for that because the reinsurance costs have increased so much. To be profitable, to make sure that they have sufficient reserves, they have to charge the higher premiums.
Right.
To insure properties, just due to the fact that we have so many people that live in this area in Harris County. I mean, how many people do we have now in the greater Houston area? It's
we're a little bit over we're a little over 5 million, I think, right now in the greater
MSA?
Houston. Yeah, that is correct.
And that's Houston proper, correct?
Yeah, no, that's the greater Houston area.
Greater Houston area, okay.
So they have to be very conservative in how much property they do insure because, they don't want to bankrupt the company if another hurricane comes through. So with mitigating that risk of hurricanes, the last
well,
one
we know
was,
with hurricanes, it's
exactly,
not if, it's when.
It's when, exactly. So you are going to pay higher premiums with a property that's in Harris County, Fort Bend County, maybe it's in Galveston County, Brazoria,
right?
As opposed to someone that's buying a new home in San Antonio, their insurance costs might be a third.
Right. Yeah, and I see people mention the only people that I see that come to Houston and say you got cheap insurance are the ones coming from Miami, from Florida, right? They walk here and say, really? $3,000, that's all? And it's like, really? Okay, I wasn't expecting that. But, with that being said, though, I think there was a national number that came out that I was reading probably the earlier part of this year, which ranked Houston in regards to their overall insurance cost. And while we weren't the lowest, we're definitely not the highest in the nation. I mean, we're probably a good still middle of the road as compared to what's going on in the national
Well, we're
average,
still one
right?
of the highest. And for automobile insurance, I think we're still one of the very highest.
Automobile, I would agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I can't imagine why. We have such great drivers out there.
Right.
Well, people know that I live here, and so
No, they moved you out to Richmond. So but go ahead.
Oh no. So someone let us know a little bit about your insurance agency, sort of what you guys do, what sets you guys apart. And because obviously I know I work with you, we do deals back and forth, et cetera. But it's important, obviously, for the general listener who's out there to not only know who you are, but then the second part of that is how important is it every year to review your insurance policy? So sort of a two-part question.
Yeah, Chris. So my wife and I, we started our agency back in 2005, and we're located in the Cypress area. But, we service clients all over Texas. I have clients in Louisiana. And so we handle residential insurance, the homeowner's insurance, flood, windstorm. Also write a lot of commercial insurance. And, when we get a client at our office, most of the time it's, by referral.
Right.
We work with a lot of mortgage lenders, realtors, real estate professionals. And so our goal is to get the client the right policy, but we do it in a timely fashion because, with closings or realtors are closing their files, they need everything to be on a time basis to where, we get that information over to the lender, to the client. And so everybody's happy. It's a team effort.
I would agree. Yeah, I've never requested insurance to say, and get it to me whenever you want to. By the way.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Yeah, I've never received it, but I agree though. You get things over immediately. You get the quotes out immediately. And part of the thing that's good about that, we tell everybody is, I like always when I call you, you answer, you get right back, you're on top of things. Clients say the same thing. Clients we work with, it's absolutely, they're always on top of it. Mm-hmm. They get right back to us. They answer at different hours. And so that's one part of the equation that's extremely important. The second part of that question was evaluating insurance.
Right. Yeah, it's always good to do a yearly review because with your family things change. Mm-hmm. Maybe you did an addition onto the home. Maybe it's a new porch. Maybe you added a pool. You need to review your liability limits. So a yearly review is always good to see, am I protected correctly? Do I need to make a change? And so we work with clients. We look at their auto, their home, just to make sure that they're covered sufficiently.
Oh, yeah.
And the one thing to talk about, not all insurance are equal.
Not all insurance is created equal, really?
That's right. And the good thing that Farmers has allowed their agents to do, and we were talking about this earlier, is that they can actually write for other lines. So if Farmers doesn't have the best insurance out there for that particular need, you actually can go out there, and it's usually going to be property.
It's in this mainly in Fort Bend and Harris County, we're limited on the property side just due to the hurricane risk.
Right.
If Farmers does not have an available market, we can look outside. Of course, Farmers is a very good company. Everyone knows we are farmers. So
we are farmers.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun.
I love their commercials.
Yes.
So, we have options for the clients. And, the best thing is to make sure that as Nicole was saying, making sure that the client is an informed client when they make a purchase and to make sure that they're comfortable with what they're purchasing on the insurance side. And so like I said, it's a team effort when we're working with the client, the realtor, the mortgage lender. just to make sure everything.
Well, I got to tell you, when I start talking insurance, my eyes glaze over. but a good insurance agent like Lee,
right,
is a great resource for information. Because when I don't know something, we always talk about using a professional. Mm-hmm. I need a resource that I can go to, or I can send my client and say, look, call this person, and I know that they're going to get the right answer, even though he may not sell them something. At least they get that information. It usually can be about flood areas and floodways, and how it's going to impact this house, and typically you're going to have the most current FEMA maps out there, and that's a great resource to have. So agents out there, make a good relationship with an agent, because they will help you.
Talking about that with some real estate agents, I'll tell them, hey, look, give me a call, email me. You need to know if this property is in a flood zone before you pursue that property further. Send me an email, and I'll tell you, yes or no. I'll send you the certificate, whatever you need. And sometimes I never sell a policy to them.
Yeah, well, you think about people buying out in Jersey Village. There's some areas in Jersey Village that you're going to have flood insurance and stuff like that. And so if they're looking around that Cypress area, there are some areas that are not in the flood zone, and some they're definitely in. And it can be a big impact economically.
Time flies when you're having fun and talking about insurance, by the way. But we are coming up against the break. Over. Lee, how can we reach you, by the way?
Yeah, our main number is 281-373-4646. That's our office number. We're there Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. We're there on Saturdays by appointment only, 9 to 1.
Okay.
But you can also email me at Lee, L-E-E, at thepattersonagency.com. That's T-H-E, my last name, agency.com.
thepattersonagency.com.
And we're going to put that up on the Rat Pack website.
We'll put that up on the Rat Pack website. You can go there. We're not done yet, though. We still have our open mic section when we come back. The only problem is we have to take a break right now to let our beautiful sponsors know that we still love them and care about them right there.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
My life is going to be beautiful. I've sunshine enough to spread. It's just like the fella said. Tell me quick, ain't love a kick?